I'm a 26-year-old guy, and I'm my dad's first kid. He got remarried when I was just a little kid to my stepmom, who's 52 now, and I also got a stepbrother who's a year younger than me at 25. I moved to a different city for work, where I managed to land a pretty solid job with a decent paycheck. To be honest, I've never been all that tight with my family, mainly because my dad and stepmom weren't exactly supportive of me growing up. I had a tough time with learning and was pretty awkward socially, which they didn't handle well at all. My stepbrother Aaron was like the superstar in their eyes, smart, athletic, and basically perfect in everything he did. I always felt like I was in his shadow, trying to catch up but never quite getting there. My dad seemed embarrassed by me, either ignoring me or making me feel bad for not being as quick or as smart as they wanted. But I didn't let that stop me. I worked super hard, juggled extra jobs, snagged some scholarships, and pretty much gave up having much of a social life to get through school. Surprise, surprise, I ended up doing way better than they ever thought I would. My dad always favored my stepbrother, treating him like he could do no wrong, while my stepmom would shoot down anything I needed, especially when it came to school. They even doubted me when I got into college, making jokes about me failing or accusing me of lying about my acceptance. Feeling totally unwelcome and undervalued, I pretty much stopped going home or asking them for anything. Fast forward to now, my dad's health has taken a turn for the worse, and my stepmom is suddenly calling me up, expecting me to drop everything, my job, my life, to come home and look after him full time. She says she's too tired to do it anymore, and that they need someone else to step in around the clock. I couldn't help but wonder why she didn't ask my stepbrother, who's actually living with them, to help out. So here's the deal. My stepbrother has been living at home without paying a dime, even when he was in college. Right now, he's not working or contributing financially at all. Instead, he says he's too caught up with his thesis to help out. According to my stepmom, his postgraduate studies are a big deal, way more important than anything I've done with my life. So in her mind, if someone has to put their career on hold to take care of my dad, it's gotta be me. She didn't hesitate to tell me that straight up. Hearing this really ticked me off. I pointed out to her that her son hasn't really started a career to speak of, since he's pretty much been living off my dad his whole life. Right now, they're both living off my dad's retirement money, which is the only reason they don't have to work like everyone else their age. I also reminded her that as a housewife, it's kind of her job to look after her husband, who has been supporting her and her son for so long. Taking care of my dad isn't my responsibility. He wasn't really there for me growing up. After getting a bunch of guilt-tripping texts from my stepmom trying to pressure me into coming home to take care of my dad for free while she and my stepbrother live off his money, I ended up blocking her. Does that make me the bad guy here? Update. There's been a bit of a development. My dad's health improved a bit after they got a professional caregiver for him. Now he's thinking about moving into a retirement home and selling the house. This has my stepmom and my stepbrother freaking out because they don't have anywhere else to go. With my stepbrother struggling to keep a job, they're worried they might end up without a home or enough to eat. They've been trying to convince me to talk my dad out of selling the house, but I'm not getting involved. It's his money, and he should be able to use it however he wants. Update 2. Just when I thought the family drama couldn't get any crazier, life threw some curveballs that even I didn't see coming. After I blocked my stepmom's number to stop the barrage of guilt trip texts, things took a turn for the silent treatment from their end. I thought, great, peace at last. But oh, how wrong I was. Just when I started to enjoy the quiet, my dad surprisingly reached out directly. Yeah, the man himself, which is rare to say the least. He called to let me know about his decision to move into a retirement home and sell the house, as I mentioned in the update. But here's the kicker: he wanted my opinion on it. After years of being the family outcast, suddenly my opinion mattered. It was a lot to process, but deep down, I felt this might be his way of trying to mend fences. Or maybe he was just looking for validation from the one kid who managed to make something of himself despite the odds. We had a long, heartfelt conversation where he admitted to many of his past mistakes and how he let my stepmom dictate the family dynamics to my detriment. It was a lot to take in, and while I appreciated the gesture, it didn't erase years of neglect and favoritism overnight. Still, it was a step in the right direction. Now on to the more dramatic part of this update. My stepmom and stepbrother caught wind of this heart-to-heart, and went into full panic mode. They started bombarding me with calls and messages from different numbers, pleading with me to convince my dad to reconsider selling the house. Their tone had changed drastically from demanding to almost begging. It was surreal to witness this 180 in their attitude. My stepbrother, who's been living in a bubble of entitlement his whole life, even tried to play the family card, saying we should stick together in tough times. Tough times that, let's be honest, they never thought they'd face, especially not on my watch. I stood my ground, though. I told them that it's Dad's decision and his alone. He's earned the right to live his remaining years in peace and comfort without the burden of a house that's become too much for him to manage, and frankly, the burden of supporting two adults who've never really supported him. The news of the retirement home and the house sale spread through the family like wildfire, and suddenly, I was receiving calls from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, some siding with my stepmom and stepbrother, others surprisingly supportive of my stance. As for the retirement home, Dad's excited about it. He's looking forward to the social aspects, the activities, and most importantly, the freedom it offers him from the toxic environment at home. He's even started making plans to travel, something he's always wanted to do, but never could because of family obligations. The house sale is moving forward, and my stepmom and stepbrother are scrambling to figure out their next steps. They've started looking for jobs, a concept so foreign to them it's almost comical if it weren't so tragic. My dad, in a move that shocked me, has offered to help them with the transition, but made it clear he's not going to support them financially anymore. As for me, I've been doing a lot of thinking. This whole situation has forced me to reevaluate my relationship with my family, or what's left of it. I've realized that family isn't just about blood, it's about who shows up for you, who supports you, and who stands by you through thick and thin. I'm cautiously optimistic about rebuilding my relationship with my dad. As for my stepmom and stepbrother, I'm keeping them at arm's length. I've learned the hard way that some relationships are too toxic to save, and that's okay. I'm focusing on my own life, my career, and building my own version of family with people who genuinely care about me. So am I the a-hole for sticking to my guns and refusing to be guilt-tripped into a role I never asked for? I don't think so, and for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that. Life's too short to live it on anyone else's terms but your own. Thanks for sticking with me through this roller coaster. Until next time, peace out. So my girlfriend's college boyfriend tragically died in an accident about 5 years ago. I'm 28, and I totally get that he's a permanent part of her life and heart. She's 26, and how she's handled her grief and loss is a big part of her story. We've been together for 2 years now. The thing is, she often brings him up in our relationship, especially when I mess up or something bothers me. She talks about how he used to do things, or how I might learn a thing or two from him. She's not mean about it, but it still feels pretty rough on my end. Just yesterday, I found out I got this promotion I'd been hoping for, but wasn't really expecting to get. It was a big deal because there were loads of folks gunning for this spot. We were having a mini celebration, and in the middle of chatting about all the plans we had, I made a joke about being super nervous about things. That's when she mentioned how her past boyfriend was always super cool and laid back, never letting stuff get to him, while I'm the type who worries about everything. For some reason, that comment really got to me. I asked her to stop bringing him up, which seemed to offend her, and the whole evening just tanked. We ended up sitting in awkward silence before she decided to call it a night early. It feels like I'm always being measured against someone I can't possibly live up to. I'm happy to be there for her and support her, but how can I compete with a memory that keeps growing larger than life? How can we have a future together if I'm always in the shadow of her past? I don't know what to do, or if I even have the right to feel this way. Update. Things have been tense since that night. She's been distant, and I feel like I stepped on a landmine without even knowing it was there. I tried to talk to her about it, but she either changes the subject or gets defensive. It's like she doesn't see how comparing me to her late boyfriend might be unfair. I know she loved him, and I'd never want to take that away from her. But I need to feel like I'm not just a placeholder, like I'm not competing with a ghost for her affection. We had a serious talk over the weekend. I laid it all out there, how much I love her, how committed I am to our relationship, and how being constantly compared to her late boyfriend makes me feel like I'm not enough. She was quiet for a long time, and I honestly didn't know what to expect. Then she told me that she never realized how much it was affecting me because she thought I understood it was her way of keeping his memory alive, not about me not measuring up. It was a tough conversation for both of us. She apologized and said she'd try to be more mindful of how she talks about him. She also admitted that she hadn't fully dealt with her grief and that maybe it was time for her to find a healthier way to keep his memory without hurting our relationship. We agreed to take things one day at a time and to be more open about our feelings. It's going to be a journey, but I think we're on the right path. I hope we are anyway. I'm 25 now, but growing up, being the only child in my family was a lot tougher than it might sound. My parents had big dreams for me from the get-go. They had me later in life, so they poured all their hopes and dreams into my future. There was this constant pressure to excel in everything I did: school, sports, social activities. Nothing was ever just for fun. It always felt like it had to mean something or lead somewhere important. In school, I was always pushed to be the top of my class. If I brought home a B, it was the end of the world. My dad would get this disappointed look, and my mom would go on and on about how much potential I was wasting. I remember dreading report card day. Even when I got straight A's, it felt like they were always looking for the one area where I could do even better. I never got a break from the pressure. Outside of school, it was the same story. I had to be the best in everything: piano, soccer, even the spelling bee. My parents' friends would always hear about how amazing I was doing, and if I fell short, it was a huge letdown. I felt like I was living my life for them, constantly chasing this impossible standard they'd set. They weren't exactly mean about it, but their expectations were like a heavy weight on my shoulders. I didn't want to let them down, so I just kept pushing myself harder and harder. By the time I got to college, I was a wreck. I couldn't enjoy anything because I was always worrying about my grades or my future. I didn't know how to relax or just be a normal kid. I was so used to working towards some big goal that I didn't know how to handle it when things didn't go according to plan. I ended up burning out pretty badly and had to take a semester off. My parents were disappointed, of course, but I think it was a wake-up call for them too. They started to realize that maybe they'd pushed me too hard. Now, I'm working on finding a balance in my life. I'm trying to figure out what I want for myself, not just what they want for me. It's been a long journey, and I'm still figuring it out. But I'm learning that it's okay to take things at my own pace and to set my own goals. My parents are still learning too. They're trying to be more supportive and less demanding, which is a big step for them. We're all growing together, I guess. Update: my relationship with my parents has been a lot better lately. After that tough semester, we had a lot of heart-to-heart talks. I told them how their expectations had made me feel, and they were surprisingly understanding. They admitted they didn't realize how much pressure they were putting on me because they just wanted what was best for me. It was a huge relief to finally get it all out in the open. Since then, they've been a lot more relaxed about things. They're still involved in my life, but they're not pushing me as hard. I'm doing better in school now, not because I'm under pressure, but because I actually want to do well. I'm also finding time to enjoy things I love without feeling guilty about it. It's been a huge change, and I'm really grateful for it. We're all still learning how to navigate this new dynamic, but it's been a positive experience. I'm hopeful for the future and excited to see where it takes me. It's nice to finally feel like I'm living my own life and not just following someone else's script. About a year ago, I reconnected with an old childhood friend I hadn't seen in years. Her name is Emily, and we used to be inseparable when we were kids. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to the same school, and spent most of our free time together. But as we got older, life took us in different directions, and we lost touch. I was scrolling through social media one day and saw a post from her. It brought back a flood of memories, so I decided to reach out. I sent her a message, and to my surprise, she responded right away. We started chatting, catching up on each other's lives, and it felt like no time had passed at all. She told me about her career, her travels, and her hobbies, and I shared what I'd been up to as well. It was amazing how much we still had in common despite the years apart. We decided to meet up in person, and it was like stepping back in time. We went to our old hangout spots, reminisced about our childhood adventures, and just enjoyed each other's company. It was refreshing to have someone who knew me so well, who remembered all the silly things we used to do. We laughed about the time we got lost in the woods trying to find a hidden fort we'd heard about, or the endless summer days we spent riding our bikes around the neighborhood. Reconnecting with Emily has been one of the best things to happen to me in a long time. She's brought a lot of joy and positivity back into my life. We've made it a point to stay in touch regularly now, whether it's through texts, calls, or meeting up when we can. It's like having a piece of my past back, but with the added bonus of seeing how much we've both grown and changed over the years. Update. Since reconnecting, Emily and I have become really close again. We've been through a lot together this past year. When I went through a tough breakup, she was there for me, offering support and a shoulder to lean on. And when she had some family issues to deal with, I was there for her too. It's been great to have someone who understands me so well and who's always there when I need her. We've even started planning some trips together, just like we used to dream about when we were kids. We're both excited about the adventures ahead and the chance to make new memories. It's funny how life brings people back into your world when you least expect it, but I'm really grateful it did. Reconnecting with Emily has reminded me of the importance of old friendships and how they can bring so much joy and meaning to your life. About 3 years ago, I landed a job that completely changed the direction of my life. I was 22 and fresh out of college, feeling a mix of excitement and uncertainty about what lay ahead. I had a degree in business, but I wasn't sure where I wanted to take it. I applied to a bunch of jobs, not really knowing what I was looking for, just hoping something would click. One day, I got a call from a company I'd almost forgotten I applied to. They wanted to bring me in for an interview. The position was in marketing, which wasn't exactly what I'd envisioned for myself, but I figured I'd give it a shot. The interview went surprisingly well, and they offered me the job. I accepted, thinking it would be a good place to start and see where it led me. Little did I know, this job would open up a whole new world for me. I started as an entry-level marketing assistant, learning the ropes and trying to figure out where I fit in. The company was a mid-sized firm, with a close-knit team that made me feel welcome from day one. My boss, Sarah, was incredible. She took me under her wing, teaching me everything she knew about the industry. She saw potential in me that I didn't even see in myself and encouraged me to take on more responsibilities and challenge myself. I worked hard and took every opportunity to learn and grow. I found that I had a knack for creative thinking and strategic planning, and I quickly became passionate about the work I was doing. Within a year, I was promoted to a junior marketing role, and from there, I just kept moving up. Each new challenge and project helped me develop new skills and gain confidence in my abilities. Now, 3 years later, I'm a marketing manager, leading my own team and handling major campaigns for our clients. It's been an incredible journey, and I owe so much of it to the support and mentorship I received from Sarah and my colleagues. This job has given me a sense of purpose and direction that I never expected to find. It's not just a career, it's something I genuinely love doing. Update. My career has continued to evolve in exciting ways. Recently, I was approached by a larger firm with an offer to head up their marketing department. It's a huge step up, and while I'm thrilled about the opportunity, it's also bittersweet to think about leaving the company that's been my home for the past 3 years. I've had long talks with Sarah and my team about it, and they've been incredibly supportive, encouraging me to take this next step. It's a reminder of how far I've come and how much I've grown since those uncertain days right out of college. Looking back, I'm amazed at how much this job has shaped my life. It's taught me the value of hard work, the importance of having great mentors, and the power of believing in yourself. I'm excited about the future and all the new challenges and opportunities it will bring. It's been an incredible ride so far, and I can't wait to see where it takes me next.